All right, here I go. Here you go. Here we go. What's
Here
up,
we go.
everybody? I am DJ Sir Daniel,
And I am Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III.
and welcome to another episode of Q Points, a visual podcast, which is our safe space for meaningful dialogue about the global impact of Black music. Welcome to another week. Jay Ray, I got to start the show off by giving you props and kudos for your Born This Way event last night. It was super dope. Please let the people know. Did you have a great time? It looked like you had a great time.
Yes, I had a great time. So here's the thing. Y'all need to come next week because me and Kipper Jones are about to remember the legacy or honor the legacy of Carl Bean, Archbishop Carl Bean. So please come next week. But last night we hosted an event featuring Charles Valentino, who, according to the New York Times, is the first man to sing a song about being out and gay. And this history gets people get this history wrong a lot. Like literally Lady Gaga has a post on her social media that's like literally not correct.
True.
And so it was nice to do this event and it was nice to have people come and learn and feel like it was meaningful. So thank you, Sir Daniel, for shouting me out.
Well,
That was with
absolutely.
CNP. So yeah.
Listen, so absolutely shout out to the gentleman over at CNP. It's now known as CNP. Almost had
Right.
to check myself. And yeah, that's what we do on Q Points. We are all about making sure people get their just due and are recognized for the contributions they have made to this thing we call Black music. And this week's show, first of all, a few things have happened this week that kind of tie into what we're talking about this evening. First, I do want to recognize the Queen of Altos. Well, no, I'm not gonna call her the Queen of Altos because people will get upset with me because there's somebody else who's the Queen of Altos. But Toni Braxton, this week, 28 years ago, this week, her self-titled debut was released on July 13th, and the world has never been the same since. Like,
No. No, man, that joint was banging. Like at the time, it was just smooth. Another sad love song was just like that shit was hot.
there aren't too many debut albums that just ring off immediately, but Toni Braxton's was one of those that she just came out the box like swinging. What's your favorite cut on the album?
Good question. I think my favorite cut, I think Another Sad Love Song is my favorite cut. It's such a groove. And I dig that. So yeah, I will pick that one. What about you?
I will pick "Breathe Again." I'll never. It's like this ridiculously encompassing groove. It's sad, but you find yourself you ain't never been in love before, but Toni Braxton will have you singing to the top of your lungs, and "I Shall Never Breathe Again." I found the 12-inch version of it, and it's got a very dope, smoothed out R&B Quiet Storm mix to it. It's super dope.
Oh, I
It's
want to
very.
hear that.
Oh man, I'll let you hear it at some point. It's really hot. But shout out to Toni Braxton. We also want to recognize and acknowledge the release of probably one of her videos are always game changers.
Mhm.
Like Janet Jackson has always taken the visual aspect of music to other heights and other levels,
Absolutely.
whether it's concept or the choreography, and this had both. 28 years ago, also this week, the video for If dropped.
Man.
I know you know the breakdown. We all know we all know the breakdown. It's like
I don't it's cross generational. Like I don't care what age you are, you could do that breakdown. It was so it just crossed so many boundaries and coming off of That's the Way Love Goes.
yeah.
And then just coming out with that joint was like, I don't even know what this is. It was futuristic in a way. Janet has always done that too, because when we even look at the Velvet Rope, it's futuristic in this way that you don't even know. It's always like she's ahead of things. And that video was another one where it was the future.
Totally. And it gave you a Japanese motif
Yep.
without appropriating, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Or without, trying to bastardize their culture,
Yep.
culture. So it was, yeah, shout out to Janet Jackson for giving us, a reason to stop wherever we are if we hear that song and automatically go into the breakdown,
Right.
no matter where you are. It's ridiculous. Speaking of, and she gave us a few years later, gave us the other hit, R&B Junkie. I want to give a shout out to Ease Qualities Designs for the dope t-shirt. As soon as I saw it on the site, I was like, print me up one of those. I need that tomorrow for the show for when we're recording. So if you guys notice, every show that we've done, I'm always rocking a t-shirt that has some kind of artist on it or something music affiliated. So that's my little shtick. That's my little, my little thing. So that I like to do. But yeah, so shout out to Elvis and the folks over there at Ease Qualities Designs. So into what we're about to talk about tonight. So we're talking about music with a message this week.
Yes.
And how throughout time, musicians would lend their celebrity to making a change in the community, making a change in the world, right?
Yep.
So before we get into what got us talking about this topic,
right,
something that came up this week was rap artist DaBaby.
DaBaby, not
Lil
Baby.
Confused, not right with Lil Baby, but DaBaby is receiving some heat or received some heat for a video that he put out or his people put out, where of course these kids nowadays, we call them the water boys, the candy boys. Some kid is usually rushing up to cars. They're trying to sell things, right? And so I believe he took it upon himself to film the young man. And I guess he was going to make this a moment of him patronizing these young men and purchasing things from them. So long story short, the boys recognize him, of course, because they're kids and that's his demographic.
Right.
And he starts asking them, well, how much? And, like kids are going to do what kids do. They're going to try you. They're going to push the limit. They're going to see what they can get away with because they've seen this happen before on social media. So I guess the boy had like a box of Skittles. So told him that he was selling them the Skittles for like $2 a watt, right? And so the baby asked, well, how much for the whole box? My man said $200.
I'd have been like, carry the one.
Right. The math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing, young man.
Because I could go into the corner store and still get this little bag for maybe $1, right? But you know what? That's not even the point. So that happened, and the baby had the same reaction we did, and instead of bought 2 packs off of each boy and gave them $4 a piece and kind of sent them on their way. Like, you tried to get over on me, I was gonna bless you, but you tried to get over on me, so be about your way.
Yes.
And the public is having a field day with this, and I don't know, are they rightfully so having a field day with this, J. Ray?
I think we do too much in terms of social media anyway. So I don't know that we are right for having a field day with this. If I was the baby, if I was DaBaby, not the baby. If I was DaBaby, I wouldn't have put the video out. It's just not, I would have cut the video and been like, this was going to be a thing, but now it's going to be another thing. And it would have been a teaching moment, but it would have been a private teaching moment if it was me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I think the idea of putting the video out is suspect, but so much of what we do on social media is suspect, and so this isn't different than that. That's my thought.
Yeah, it's unfortunate um, for all parties involved. I personally get real. It's real cringy to me when you put children on camera.
That that I think is
So
the big thing too.
yeah, so
Like these is
I
kids.
yeah. Again, another I statement. I would not have put these kids on camera because I don't have their parents' permission or anything like that. So I don't know if y'all listening. That might be your way to get some real money. But anyway, I didn't get permission to have these kids on. And again, like you said, we're in the era of doing the most on social media, and it really, like, I have a thing about people, especially when it comes to homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
Stop taking money and food down to the skid rows and the place where people who are experiencing homelessness live, and taking your camera and doing close-ups on them, and throwing money at them, throwing
Don't do
food
that.
at them, handing it to them, whatever it is. If you're going to be benevolent and giving, please just do so. It's real cringe, y'all. It's getting kind of weird out there. So this kind of falls into
Yes.
into that lump of what a lot of influencers and people, who have a name, are doing on social media to get, I guess, brownie points with the community.
And I mean, honestly, it doesn't. When you are doing good, you don't have to tell people that you're doing good. Like, because if when it's coming from a pure place, you're just kind of doing it. So I'm always suspect, and I get, as business people and as public figures, you want to have a record of you doing something. Take a picture of you getting ready to go down and give food. This is a setting up. We are packing these things so we could go down and give food to the people. All right, cool. If them people take a picture, they want to take a picture of you with them. Okay, they are literally like, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? Do. Oh, cool. Send me that. You know what I'm saying? Tag me in that. So then do that. But this other stuff, nah, homie.
It's kind of weird. But guess who saved the day?
Listen.
Did you know Soldier Boy saved Soldier Boy, Superman, that hoe, and saved the day by doing the same thing, but this time he actually gave the boys like all the money and let them keep their inventory, which is better.
Like, sure.
Okay, sure.
Shout out to Soldier Boy.
Draco did it first, right? He gave them boys their first bankroll. But keep on doing you, young people. So again, back to what we were originally talking about. We were talking about people, musicians and philanthropy going hand in hand, and using their voices and platforms to make change or to exact change. Just last week, we were all I was delighted. I don't know if everybody else was delighted. I was delighted to see Juvenile, Manny Fresh, and Mia X, three of New Orleans' finest, repurposing the anthemic, because it is an anthem.
It literally is an anthem.
Be clear, when you hear those violins, dun, it's a war cry.
Dun. It literally, people come out of the woodworks like,
what's that?
What's that I hear?
Stop, children. What's that sound? Yes. So Juvenile, of who you already know, Juvenile repurposed his 1999 hit, which is an understatement, of Back That Thing Up, depending on if you want your clean version, Back That Ass Up, and changed it to Vax That Thing Up, of course, to promote people getting vaccinated.
Yes.
We're still living in a COVID world. I know a lot of y'all like to think it's It's a post-COVID world, but it's still she's still clanking around. COVID's still hanging out there, and and she's a Delta apparently. No, I'm just playing.
I had nothing to do with that, y'all. Let me be very clear.
You can go ahead and edit that out. That was, but that was funny. But yes, so they were just doing their part to promote health and people getting the vaccine. So, can community conscious songs still work today? I'll say yes because
absolutely.
Well, I mean, I've been vaccinated, but I love that Juvenile did that.
No, absolutely, and not only can community conscious songs work, dang it, we need more of them. It is unacceptable. So, Sir Daniel, and this is when I'm going to put on my old fuddy-duddy hat.
I have mine on already.
Right. We grew up in the times when
Back in the olden days where you had to say something. Right? You were responsible for things that were happening within the community where you lived. You had to talk about them. Now, there are creatives that are doing that. I know that Lil Baby's been doing really good work in his community, and there are other folks that have been doing that. But also take to your platform, which is your music, and make some music that can help the people. Gosh, it's the easiest way. First of all, it's the easiest check mark on being a good person. Like, it's like, all you got to do is write a rhyme that uplifts some people. You know that if you know that folks in your community are experiencing homelessness or are not getting vaccinated or are shooting up the neighborhood, just write a song about it. Just write a little something about it. James Brown, I'm sure there was more, may have been more before him, but James Brown started off with "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." If we're going to take a historical look, that was a war cry. The Black Panthers were a thing. Civil rights. This is during the civil rights era. So James Brown made an anthem. He saw his community standing up for their rights. As Black people in the community, and said, you know what, I'm going to put this on wax and give the people an anthem, a song that they can sing during marching and protesting.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he gave. So I agree with you. I think that community conscious songs can work today. It just, everything has to fit though. It has to work. It has to make sense. I don't know if it could work on on the kind of music that we have today. But
that makes me think of T-Pain. But no, I do I do think it requires, you know what? Dang it. Yes.
Give it up for T-Pain.
Give it up for T-Pain.
T-Pain was saying what we were all thinking.
Well, everybody's been thinking it. At least people who listened to music in a time when radio didn't sound the same. Where you could hear different stuff and different voices and different cadences, and Big Daddy Kane was going to be different from NWA, who was going to be different from whoever. Like, these people were very different. Now everybody is from the South, even if you're not from the South.
And forgive me, y'all, I saw recently somebody, I can't remember who, was, that documentary that you sent me, and we're not going to mention the name of it, but that documentary that you sent me, and the gentleman called trap music the blues of today. I just think it just sounds depressing to me. I mean, but anyway, but we're not J-Ray, we're not here to be old fuddy-duddies. But we do want to acknowledge and give roses to some songs that made us think and feel back in the day, and it seems like they all, now that I'm looking at the list, it seems like they all came around within like the same three-year time span. The first song that came to my mind, and this is And honorable mention, of course, you know, people always talk about self-destruction by the Stop the Violence
Of
movement,
course.
um, Ladies First by Queen Latifah and Moni Love, and Marvin Gaye's What's Going
Of
On.
course. Yes.
Those always get mentioned. But there's some other songs that I would like for us to, you know, give a ashe to for all the things that made us think and feel. And a
Yes.
lot of them, some of them actually made us dance too.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that later on. But so the first song that came to my mind after we talked about Juvenile vaccine that thing up, was a video and a song that was in heavy rotation on Rap City, and it was Tupac's "Brenda's Got a Baby."
Yeah.
Now, prior to that, I don't recall ever hearing a song about teenage pregnancy from a male point of view, where he was actually empathetic to the young lady. And yeah, the young lady, I think she was interviewed, or, you know, people found Brenda from the video a few years ago just to talk to her. But like that video and song kind of weighed heavy on my mind because the music itself was heavy, and the visuals that came along with it were stark as usual. They were black and white, you know, whereas we were coming off of Tupac, you know, dancing around the swimming pool half naked.
Right.
So Brenda's Got a Baby. What did you think of when you saw that and heard that song back then?
So Brenda's Got a Baby was off of Tupacalypse Now. And it was so interesting because I felt that they were still trying to figure out what to do with Tupac. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Brenda's Got a Baby. Tupac was a very complicated figure, and so Brenda's Got a Baby squarely fits into Tupac's repertoire. I remember the video very, very just vividly.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think it was just a powerful one. The lyrics were I think the lyrics were strong. I was never a huge Pac fan in terms of his cadence. Like, it just wasn't my thing. He was incredibly talented and a great lyricist. It was just, you know how there are some voices that I attract to, but he was talented, not owned like his first 3 albums. But so yeah, no, I remember how important this record was to his career.
Absolutely.
And it did give voice to a generation of young women. It gave voice to a generation of young women, and I think I would hope, helped young black men of that era be more empathetic to those women as well. So yeah. I remember this pretty well, and I'm glad that he was able to do it. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was definitely the kind of subject matter for Teen Summit.
Very much.
It was
so.
Definitely a Teen Summit kind of video. I know listen, if you're of a certain age, you remember Teen Summit.
You do.
And if you're not, go to the YouTubes and look it up.
Yep.
I kind of wish we had Teen Summit today.
We need Teen Summit. And you know what also we need, and I just mentioned this to my brother recently, we need a YSB. Remember Young Sisters and Brothers?
The magazine?
The magazine.
Ooh, listen, I had my subscription immediately when that joint came out. I had an obsession with Cross Colors because they used Cross Colors, I think, was a sponsor. They had Cross Colors all the time on that. Yes, young YSB was definitely needed.
Yep.
Youth-focused magazines. And maybe we should talk about in another episode because Right On.
Yep.
Word Up.
Beat,
we can go on.
Word Up, all of that.
Black Beat.
Yep. And thinking of Teen Summit and YSB, that was BET. Both of those were BET. BET would never do this today.
Listen, I don't know if they could get away with it because of what BET has become.
Right.
Back then, yes. Back then we had BET doing shows like Teen Summit that were youth focused and that had a lean towards educating and uplifting youth, which brings us to the next. Well, this is a whole album. This is a whole
Man.
project. This is a visual as well. And we were just talking about her earlier. We're talking about Rhythm Nation 1814 by Janet Jackson.
Monster.
A monster community conscious body of work.
Period.
And period, point blank. Do you recall the rollout for Rhythm Nation 1814?
I do. Actually, I do recall the rollout. So, of course, Miss You Much was the first single. And everybody was really excited about it, right? So, of course, coming out of Control, you had a Control, which was a very kind of colorful visual. Coming into this was darker, right? So you had this it was Miss You Much, but it felt long form in a way that they kind of set it up. But what they were really setting us up for was the Rhythm Nation 1814 30-minute long form video. Y'all, like this, you can catch it today it's on Vimeo. Go watch it if you've never seen Rhythm Nation 1814, the 30-minute version. It's one of the sickest things you will ever watch. It is poetic. It's theater. It's all the things. Janet was firing on all cylinders.
And again, like, I don't know if she was taking cues from her brother, because her brother was the only person that did something on that level, was doing things on that level. But she took it even further.
Way further.
And we're talking about 1989 when this all started. So there was a 3-year gap between Control and Rhythm Nation for 1814. So Janet had a lot of time, a lot of stuff happened in between them. We had Jones Beach, we had Latasha.
Ooh,
gosh, I can't remember her last. Latasha in Brooklyn and Bensonhurst. Yeah, somebody looked that up for me. I can't remember her last name, but we had a lot of racial disparities going on across the country. Well, this is before the 92 riots, but LA was a hotbed for racial tension. And so, you know, we were, the country was struggling with crack, AIDS, anything you can think of. The country was really in a hard space, mostly because of Reaganomics. But anyway, hey.
Call it what it is. The Reagan era was a hot mess.
We
survived.
We survived, and you know, Rhythm Nation did that. My favorite joint, though, not only was it was, you know, it's The Knowledge. The Knowledge was the funkiest record on that album. Oh my god.
Oh my god. And so in the video you get kind of the dance situation, which was nuts. Like, it was nuts. So in 2019 I traveled to Sweden. And so I was on the long plane flight, which, you know, so you have all your music with you or whatever. I played Rhythm Nation a smooth 10 times. Like, I just kept letting it go. It's one of those records that you can put on, Sir Daniel, today and not stop, because it just keeps hitting you with joints.
The sequencing was bananas. Each song just flowed right into the other. And you can tell the impact of an album, of a movement, because that was, as the kids like to call it today, her Rhythm Nation era.
Yes.
You knew it had impact because when I tell you, at every all of the school functions, the talent shows, you know, everything was Rhythm Nation centered. I can't tell you how many of the dance groups were doing their routines.
3, 2.
That's it.
People can still do it.
Yo, so yes,
Janet.
So Janet showed you can be conscious and still be funky as hell, like, and give the people something to dance to. And quite honestly, maybe the first 5 songs of the album were were Rhythm Nation 1814-esque, and the
Yeah.
rest were bops. You know what I'm saying?
The
And it still took
rest
took the
were
album over.
bops. And also Rhythm Nation, and we'll get off of this in a second, but
Hmm.
Rhythm Nation was the beginning of kind of her, what I like to call her quiet storm. When the rain starts,
Oh
the
yes.
mood is changing. Now I'm gonna say something. Here's what another thing. Rhythm Nation. The rain started here, and you got Lonely, which was a song talking about individuals who needed help, who might have been experiencing suicidal ideation. And Call Me When You're Lonely. What? Like this is a slow jam, y'all. And if you listen, if you're not listening closely, you like, oh my God, I could do a thing. And then you listening like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be helping somebody.
Right. Or this could be somebody's cry for help. Yeah, it
Yep.
was. There's so many layers to that album. So shout out to Janet again, which is why she's an icon and a legend. She is the moment. Now, come on.
She is the moment.
So we mentioned LA being a hotbed
Yep.
of there was gang activity.
Mm-hmm.
There is gang activity, racial tension
Yes.
in predominantly black neighborhoods where you have
Mm-hmm.
people coming in, mostly our Asian brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
They were put in the community and not trusting of each other, so that led to a whole lot of
Yes.
violence as well. But the gang activity was really at its height in the late 80s, early 90s. And it, on the East Coast, New York had the Stop
Yep.
the Violence movement and
Yep.
had self destruction. So
Mm-hmm.
the West Coast, they offered up their own compilation called the West Coast All Stars.
Yep.
We're all in the same gang, and it featured what I loved about videos of that era. Whenever they did like videos like that that had cameo after cameo
Yep.
of different stars, I loved it.
I agree.
So I can't tell you more about the rest of the project because I think it led to a full album.
It did.
But the West Coast All Stars was a thing, and that was an attempt to to put an end to gang violence, and
Mm-hmm.
they even had members of rival gangs on the video set.
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember. So once again, Pump It Up. Shout out to D
D
Barnes.
Barnes, give her flowers.
Give her her
Yes.
flowers. This is another experience. So D Barnes was LA based. Pump It Up. We talked about Pump It Up on the last show. We probably need to just revisit Pump It Up on Q Points at some point.
Absolutely.
That's where I saw this for the first time. So of course I lived on the East Coast, but by then the West Coast had already been making rumblings. So you have NWA, you have all the groups, you have the DOC, you have all these folks. So seeing we're all in the same gang just made me feel good. You got all the people you could think of that were on the West Coast and making music, including your Oakland cats. You got Hammer,
Hammer
part of
357,
Hammer
all
three
of
five
them.
seven, all of them, all on the same record in the same space, part of the video. It just was, like I said at the beginning, it was one of those things. It was almost a requirement. Like if somebody gonna call you and be like, we gotta do a community record to save people, I really feel like it was like, oh, okay, just tell me where I gotta be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me where I gotta be. We'll get on the song. It's fine. I don't even remember who produced this song. I'm curious. I'm gonna have to. We'll look that up. But I do remember this. I don't remember the entire project. I do remember seeing the record. But yeah, that was one. I mean, honestly, and even for the Stop the Violence movement, I don't know if Self Destruction did that lead to a whole project, or was it just the 12-inch? I don't
I
remember.
just remember having 12-inch. Now I do recall KRS-One did follow up with some other singles.
Right.
But that actually gave birth to the Heal Project.
Oh, that's
HEAL,
right.
the Heal
Yep. I
Project.
forgot about that. Yep.
And so
Yep. Yep.
there was another record that Heal Yourself that featured
That's right.
Latifah
Yep.
and all the rappers you could think of at that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
And
Important stuff.
very important things. We probably don't remember the songs don't resonate as much anymore. Oh, and it was Dr. Dre that produced it,
Of course. I
which
was
makes
like,
sense.
that makes sense.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and that was that. So we also, across the country, this is again in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Of course, because this is part of your work, your life's work.
Yeah.
HIV/AIDS is rampant, especially in the Black community.
Absolutely.
And the music community was recognizing how hard it was hitting not only performers, a lot of dancers, and the audience. Their audience, they realized that their audiences were dying.
Yep, literally.
So the response was Lifebeat. And Lifebeat was created in response to the epidemic, which gave us a couple albums. They put out projects like the Red Hot and Cool project, which I'll never forget. The video that we're playing right now is Neneh Cherry's I Got You Under My Skin.
The Neneh Cherry's I Got You Under My Skin. Let me tell you something. I learned about HIV through music. I talk about this all the time. So it started with That's What Friends Are For. And when Neneh Cherry's I Got You Under My Skin, and Neneh Cherry was the coolest woman on the planet at that moment. Like, she was literally too cool for school. Yeah. And it was like, wait, I love this, and kind of appropriating kind of this Cole Porter song and kind of adding this, it was monumental. So the work, shout out to Red Hot, who actually just released a new project. Okay. Billy Porter is on it. A bunch of people are on it. The new Red Hot project. If you are able, just download all the Red Hot joints that you can find.
They're really dope. Jungle Brothers had I Get a Kick Out of You, which is actually funky. It's a dope.
It is.
It's really funky. And Diggable Planets had a song on there as well.
Yep.
A lot of rap artists, they tapped a lot of rap artists to get involved.
Yep. And there was actually, so if y'all don't know this, Red Hot actually released a rap record geared at Black men. It was called America Is Dying Slowly. Wu-Tang has an HIV record, y'all. It's called America. You could go and look it up. Fat Joe is on that record. De La is on that record. Like, so once again, this was an era where this was kind of a thing that you did. Like, it was like
your favorite MCs knew that they had to say something, because if they didn't address it, quite frankly, they weren't going to have an audience anymore. Point blank, period. And from Lifebeat, or I think around the same time, it took three around the way girls from Queens to change one of their I guess it was controversial at the time,
which is weird now, but yeah,
super weird. But I think the title, when Black's Magic came out in '89, Let's Talk About Sex was featured on the Black's Magic album.
Yep.
Maybe about a year later, after all the other singles had ran its course, Let's Talk About Sex was released, I believe, in like the spring of '99, and so that took off.
It blew up.
Let's Talk About Sex. It had all the different versions. It was cool. And then Salt recalls the story that Peter Jennings' daughter, Peter Jennings, was working on a documentary, a special for Nightline about the AIDS epidemic. And his daughter, of course, like most kids, was a Salt and Pepper fan, and brought the song to him. And Salt and Pepper did their due diligence and flipped it. Let's talk about AIDS.
It was to the people who don't know or uninformed. If you think you can't get it, you're wrong. Like,
telling you about the different condoms, how to put all of that stuff, all of the things that we thought, we weren't talking about in the community. Oh yes, we were. our musicians were talking about it,
Black
especially hip hop
people,
musicians.
especially hip hop musicians, black folks have always been on the front lines talking and fighting because HIV was impacting the black community so it was so heavy and so hard. You got a crack and you got an HIV happening, and the funding was not there, y'all. So we had to do it. So you had your filmmakers, you had these musicians doing this amazing work. So yeah, Salt and Pepper and Let's Talk About AIDS was a thing.
Was definitely been. I'm glad you mentioned film. Like we have to give props to like John Singleton,
Yeah.
who used his very first foray into film. His first major film was Boys in the Hood, which celebrate 30 years old this week as well.
Oh
Boys in the Hood is
what in the
30.
world?
Where is time going? I remember I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida at the time, and my mom dropping me off at the local movie theater to go see Boys in the Hood.
Wow.
I don't remember if I told her I was going to see Boys in the Hood because she would have been afraid because there was a lot of bad press about
Yes.
shootings taking place in the movie theaters that Boys in the Hood was showing.
Yep.
But thank God, nothing happened clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a classic, a hood classic for sure.
Indeed. So yeah, Boys in the Hood. Shout out to John Singleton. Yeah.
Shout out, rest in peace, John Singleton.
Yes.
So we were talking about a lot of performative philanthropy that's been going on with the homeless lately, or with kids selling water and candies. But Arrested Development took took the issue of homelessness very seriously and put it in the song.
Yep.
I don't think at the time Mr. Wendell sounded really upbeat and poppy and kind of happy, but it had a really serious subject matter.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at this time, and I think we've talked, I think a lot has been written about this, but Arrested Development's first record just took the world by storm. And it was real black and it was real Georgia.
Very.
And Speech is kind of a controversial figure. So there was a lot of stuff that didn't come out after, you know what I'm saying? But Mr. Wendell was one of those songs, and this was one of the later songs. Mr. Wendell was probably single like 4. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but it was down the line a bit. And it probably was exactly 4. And it also became a massive hit, but talked about homelessness in this way that used hip hop and used storytelling as a way to engage. And I'll never forget watching the video. And so yeah, if you've never seen Mr. Wendell, that would be interesting if you watch the show and have never seen Mr. Wendell, but you should check it out.
You absolutely should. Like Arrested Development came out, like if we're going to talk about conscious groups, Arrested Development is definitely a conscious group. Even the way they presented themselves, they presented themselves very kind of, dressed down. A lot of African medallions. They had the Baba holding his stick. Your elder in the group. Your dancers, Ishi doing her, dancing barefoot, very traditional dances. It was definitely a movement. There were like Arrested Development might have been one of the last groups like that. You had your X-Clans, who were like the precursor to Hotepism, but they were, they did their thing. They had some things that made you think. But you had your X-Clans, you had
Poor Righteous Teachers.
Poor Righteous Teachers. There was a lane for everybody at a certain point. There was a lane for you to do your thing and to be able to speak on things in the community and not feel any kind of way about it and still have your art be celebrated. So shout out to Arrested Development and taking on homelessness. But another song, and I'm going to, so this, what made me think of this song was a tweet came out earlier, and the tweet was saying, Crystal Waters really had y'all dancing about homelessness? Yes, she did.
Like Crystal Waters kicked opened the door with such a unique sound, a message in the music, and she rolled that thing to 3 albums of heat. Like, Crystal Waters killed it from like 91 to like 96 with banger after banger. And it started with a house song about homelessness.
And it wasn't over the top. It wasn't.
Nope.
It didn't hit you over the head. But she did say, "Oh yeah, she's homeless.
She's homeless.
And she stands there begging for money. So she's homeless and she's asking you for help. So what are you gonna do?" And here's the thing: when you're dancing, and J. Ray can attest to this, as you've seen him in action dancing to house music. When there's a message along with the beat, that gets into your subconscious real easy, and before you know it, you've tapped into something. So like her using that platform back then for Gypsy Woman was amazing, and clearly the universe blessed her, because to this day, Crystal Waters, can tour anywhere. She can go anywhere in the world and perform that song.
Yep.
And I will say that whole album, Surprise, even the follow-up,
Make It Happy.
Make It Happy was about date rape.
Yeah.
And I had no idea at the time.
Wait, did I know that? I don't think I knew that.
Somebody schooled me to the point where they're taught the song is about date rape, and how if you listen to the lyrics, she screams "Aua."
What? Yes. Wow. Oh my God. Mind blown.
So that's not the only conscious song or song, that topic driven song that she has on that album. Like, I think her, Crystal Waters as a poet, and she did that in bringing that to us in the form of Gypsy Woman. But yes, we definitely did dance. Go ahead. I see your.
I need to mention one thing that's really fun about Crystal Waters. I think you know this, but Michael K. Williams, the actor,
yes,
choreographed 100% Pure Love.
Absolutely. He's in it. He's in it. He tells it. Michael K. Williams is a dancer. I think he dancing was first, and then the acting came after that. So yes, your favorite gangster on The Wire, what was his name? Omar.
Yep.
Oh, Omar can duck walk and can hit you with a shawam too. So don't get it twisted. Yes, but no, Michael K. Williams he toured with her on that first album, that first project. He went everywhere with her, and he credits that moment to where he is now. So definitely,
wow. Baltimore, man.
I'm telling you, Crystal Waters, Gypsy Woman. We had a lot to think about during that time, and that was not the last conscious record, but those are just some of the records that we thought of, because we just figured it's not, people don't give them enough credit for making you think.
Agreed.
And Vax the Thing Up just brought up all these memories, and that's why we had to bring them to you to talk about it. So I hope you enjoyed that segment.
Yes.
Mr. J. Ray, you are speaking of being conscious, and you are coming off of, like we said, we mentioned earlier, a great moment to discuss a historical song.
Yes.
Dealing with identity, sexuality, things that weren't talked about in that era, in the 70s.
Yep.
And so you had an opportunity to speak with the first vocalist, Mr. Charles Valentino, regarding that moment. So what do you know this week that we don't know, Ray? Because I'm sure there's something that came up that you were just like, I'm going to bring this to the people because I bet they don't know and I know.
So there are two things that I want to talk about this week. So the first thing is about I Was Born This Way. So the interesting thing about I Was Born This Way, it was released as the first version. The second version was a Motown release, and it was Carl Bean, and it was a bigger production. The first version was a 45. You ain't had no liner notes. Here's the magic. So I asked Charles So tell me about who played on the record. Do. Here's the thing, y'all. Stevie Wonder, that Stevie Wonder, played drums on the song that is the first song to contain lyrics about being an out and proud gay man. The drums are played by Stevie effing Wonder. Sit with that. And I'm gonna go deeper. I'm gonna go deeper.
What else you got?
This song was written by a black woman, and the first place it was played was on WBLS in New York City. Frankie Crocker dropped it on his show. So this gay song with Stevie Wonder playing drums on it, written by a black woman, was played on a black radio station by a black DJ. Do not tell me that black folks haven't been allies to the LGBTQ community. You cannot tell me that. Okay, because
Frankie Crocker was a big deal.
Frankie Crocker was a big deal. Frankie, as the story goes, literally Bunny took the song into Frankie, and Frankie said, "Give me the song." Dropped it. Wow. In rotation at that moment. So listen, our community, I just love black folks and black music history. I do. So that's one thing I know. Second thing related to this show. So real quick, because I want to make sure that we don't go over too much time. If by Janet Jackson samples, one of the samples, so I think it's like 3 samples, samples Someday We'll Be Together by Diana Ross and the Supremes. Yay. Everybody knows that. But what people might not realize is that song was produced by Harvey Fuqua. Who is Harvey Fuqua, you ask, as we talk about allies to the LGBTQ community? Harvey Fuqua produced all of your favorite Sylvester songs. You Make Me Feel Fighty, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real, all of that stuff.
Did he do Disco Heat?
I believe he did do Dance Dance Disco Heat. I gotta double check that record's over there. I do believe he did that song because I think he did like the whole records. Mm-hmm. Like I think it was like that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be shocked. I gotta take a look. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna look right now. I'm gonna look because I think it's up on my thing. It ain't up here. But anyway, we'll check as the show is happening. Anyway, so yeah, Harvey Fuqua produced Someday We'll Be Together, and also was the person who produced You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Sylvester and other joints. Sylvester sued the bejesus out of Harvey Fuqua. I just need to put that into perspective. It's not necessarily a good union that was. And Sylvester ultimately never got the money from him. Like Sylvester died not having been fully paid for all of that work. But listen, fun. I thought it was a fun and interesting fact that kind of tracked back to If. So my question for you, Sir Daniel, is what might you have over there on your turntables?
So you mentioned Charlie Valentino. Mm-hmm. Didn't he perform on Broadway?
Yes, Charles Valentino was in The Wiz with Stephanie Mills.
Guess what's on my turntable? This is the second week that this has become like a huge coincidence.
Yes.
So yes. So actually, no. Listen, guys, I literally was at just went out like I usually do and go to one of my watering holes for records, as it were, and came across Sweet Sensation by Stephanie Mills. And this, of course, features her gigantic hit, Never Knew Love Like This Before. Mm-hmm.
Executive produced by Stephanie Mills, too.
Yes, absolutely. And the record, of course, is produced by James Mtume and Reggie Lucas, who gave us great, like, soulful disco hits of the late 70s and early 80s. But I think it's also worth mentioning Never Knew Love Like This was also featured in season 2 of Pose.
Yes.
Which is the scene that Candy was eulogized to and was, of course, one of those tearjerker moments in Pose. But I bring that up because the Emmy nominations came out this week, and the Emmys got super black this year.
Listen,
like really black.
Listen,
we're gonna give y'all some blackness this year. But one of the standout moments is that MJ Rodriguez is the first black trans actress nominated for an Emmy. So it all kind of ties in, Charles Valentino performing on The Wiz with Stephanie Mills, and me finding this today because I had been looking for this particular record for a long time, and never knew love like this before. Kind of is one of those. It's an anthem.
It is.
It's an anthem. It's a call to action, and the way it was used in Pose, I think, really got to the heart of what was trying to be conveyed with this particular record. So this is what's on my turntable, and you should be hearing it in the mix soon once I bring back my little show. It's coming, y'all. I promise. I got to get some things tuned up, but it's coming. I've been practicing. I got y'all on some really dope sets coming up.
Cool.
But yes. Wow. J. Ray, it's been an hour. It's almost been an hour.
It's a packed show. One thing. So y'all, question of the week. Here's the question of the week, y'all. What is your favorite conscious song? Tell us what it is, tell us who it's by and why you dig it. So go ahead, the link is right there. It's also in the chat. I'm gonna leave it up for long because some people was like, I can't read that fast. Right. So I'm gonna keep talking over this, and just make sure that you shout us out, send us a video, because we want to play your video.
Please do. And you can always go to our Instagram and our Twitter, where you can click on the link and it'll take you right to the apparatus to film your video response. Or hit us up at qpoints.com. We got a website, y'all.
We got a whole website. So go ahead.
A whole website.
Become an insider. Definitely follow us on socials. We just excited. We got so much more stuff coming. Like, seriously, me and Sir Daniel are figuring it out. Yeah, get ready. Q Points is not going anywhere
at all. And I mean, we got some fun stuff coming. But in order for you to participate, you gotta be a Q Points insider. Point blank, period. There's no way around it. Just go onto the website and sign up. Just do it. Do it right now. I'm dropping the link right now in the chat. But J. Ray, you know what I always say? What do I always say? In this life, you can always pick up the needle, or you can let the music play. I'm Sir Daniel. And if you can stop giggling, that's J. Ray. This has been Q Points. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you all next week. Peace.
Bye, y'all.